Okay, welcome into your Nick Knack News Radio episode, podcast 17. The views and commentary you're about to hear is solely expressed by me, Frank, and is not in any way reflective of Nick Knack News Radio. Very interesting episode as usual. I've been following the weekly podcast episodes the last few weeks. Always entertaining. I like the format, it has everything for everybody. Sports, politics, entertainment. This week, Nick and the guys talked about the Knicks Derrick Rose trade, the draft, LeBron James' controversial decision about not playing in the Olympics. Is it controversial? We'll talk about that. The Mets, the season slipping out of their grasp. The offense is weak. Is help on the way? Jose Reyes signed this Saturday. And the Yankees, the terrible Yankees, who were at 500 at the time of the episode. And the juicy issue of global warming versus ISIS. Who's the bigger threat? Are they a threat? And we'll be talking about that much later. We'll start off with big news this week in New York. Derrick Rose and the Knicks. The Knicks acquired Derrick Rose. I threw this idea out a couple weeks ago. Nick didn't like it. He doesn't like Derrick Rose. And this is a very common opinion among Knick fans and maybe even non-Knick fans, who everybody's really soured on Derrick Rose. I mean, this is the youngest MVP in the league. He won the MVP at 23 years of age. He's only 27. And this guy was in 2011, I believe, when he did win the MVP. He was phenomenal. I mean, he was up there with LeBron. I mean, he was challenging LeBron as a force to be reckoned with in the league. And the guy has had some terrible, terrible luck. His 4 injury-plagued seasons. It's not his fault. Is it him? Is it his body that's naturally weak? I mean, we can't say this. I mean, listen, everybody's going on with these injuries. JT from the podcast, he predicts that Derrick's going to miss 40 games this season. I mean, come on. I mean, that's very pessimistic. And how could you put a number on it? That's half a season. I mean, he started in 66 games last year. He averaged 31 minutes a game. Injuries can happen to anybody at any time. Do they happen to Derrick Rose? Yeah, he's had 4 bad years. I mean, 3 really bad years. The biggest injury he had was his torn ACL, and then he tore his meniscus twice. He had to get it repaired again. And then he's had these nagging injuries to toes and his nose and his eye socket. I mean, listen, he's 27. He's going to be 28 in October. And are we getting the MVP, Derrick Rose? No, probably not. Likely that we're not. Are we getting a superstar? Probably not. Are we getting a star? Probably. Above average at best. Is he going to play 82 games? Probably not. Who is going to play 82 games? You tell me. I mean, if he could play 60, 65, start 60, 65 games, average 31 minutes, and last year his totals, he averaged 16.4 points a game, 4.75 assists, let's say, 3 rebounds. His steals, he was never a big steal guy. He averages about 1 a game. But, he had to share the emergence of Jimmy Butler, did him in. If you're a Bulls fan or NBA fan, a while back, I think what was nailing the coffin for him in Chicago was when he decided not to come back for the playoff game, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. So, I mean, so they soured on him. He's got a lot of money coming to him, $21 million. For the Knicks, is it a big gamble? No, it's not a big gamble. It's much better than what we had. The Knicks had no guards whatsoever last year. And worst comes to worst, if we get anything out of him and we're still a bad team, the Knicks are still a bad team, they could always trade him at the deadline and get some value in return for him, and they'll have money then to open up more money. And the Knicks aren't done yet, okay? So let's all stop with this. He's going to miss games, all these memes about him, funny memes and jokes about him falling and getting hurt on his way to New York. Yeah, it's funny, but come on. It could happen to anybody. Now, saying that, he'll probably get hurt in the third game of the season. But the Knicks aren't done. They're in the hunt for another major superstar with the free agency. You could dream about Kevin Durant. They say the backup plan is Dwight Howard. I don't know. I don't like Dwight Howard. I don't think he's a good fit. Unless you could tell me he's going to average 15 points and 12 rebounds and close to 3 blocks a game and play solid defense for the next 5 years, I'll take it. But I don't know. That's a guy I'm sour on. It's Dwight Howard, and so are a lot of teams. And you got the guys brought up Bradley Beal at shooting guard. Hey, like I said, anybody is an improvement right now. We need scoring and shooting. The Knicks last year, the last few seasons, have been horrible outside shooting team, and even worse, they cannot defend the perimeter whatsoever. And God forbid somebody closes the lane and with a driving guard. But like I said, injuries could happen at any time to anywhere, to anyone. And now moving on. In the episode, there was this big debate about LeBron James not playing in the Olympics coming up in 2016 in Brazil. Some of you guys called it a disgrace, but that's I think coming from the heart, and you're speaking as a fan. LeBron's been to 6 finals in a row, and that's a lot of basketball minutes and a lot of basketball miles. The guy has not had a break. He was in the 2012 Olympics, regardless of the results. But if you remember that following season, when the season started, he was clearly affected by it. Having played in the finals and the Olympics, he wasn't right for the first few months. His shooting was way down. He was shooting around in the low 30s. So and now he's 4 years older. I mean, listen, LeBron, he's done it all. He's been to the finals. He's done the Olympic things. He's starting to get up there now in age. And, is it selfish of him to not play in the Olympics? No, it's his personal decision. I mean, he's been there, done that. He doesn't owe anybody anything. If you were a Cavaliers fan, would you want him to play in the Olympics and possibly not be right for the first 3 months of the season this coming up, defending the title? Come on. But listen, it's more about the young guys, and with him not being there now, Kyrie Irving is going to take his place, and some of the guys mentioned it's about the Zika virus. Oh, stop! Come on, the Zika virus, and it's a third world country. What is this? There's not an epidemic of people dying, and No, it's not about that. These guys, if they were down there, all the Olympic players, that place is going to be sealed off. There's so much money going into that place. Talking about medical and third world medical now, come on. Everybody who's participating in the Olympics is going to receive top-notch treatment and attention medically and security. It's not the location or the Zika virus. If anybody that's telling you that is full of it. That's a built-in excuse. There's no concern. So what does that mean? LeBron's smart. He's not going down there because of Zika, and all the other Olympic players are. The track and field team, they're dumb. They're going down there, and they're going to risk getting Zika. Come on. this is going to tie into later on when I talk about the media and overblowing the stuff. But yeah, with that said, next we'll move on to the Mets. At the time of the episode, there was talk of Jose Reyes being signed. He was signed yesterday, June 26th. He will report to the A team, the Cyclones, I believe. And this runs many parallels to Derrick Rose. What are the Mets getting in Jose Reyes? Are they getting the 2011 batting chip? No. You want to talk about injury prone throughout his career? Jose has been injury prone. We've seen it with his hamstrings. Listen, if we get Jose for the second half of the season, hits 280 with 6 home runs, 30 plus RBIs, and over 10 stolen bases, and plays solid defensive shot, I'll sign up for it right now. Last year, his totals with Toronto and Blue Jays and Colorado Rockies, he hit 274 with 7 homers and 53 RBIs, 24 stolen bases. He played in 116 games. Listen, Jose peaked in 2011 when he won the batting title. There was a lot of controversy and vitriol towards the Wilpons for being cheap and not signing Jose. Hindsight, they were right. Jose's his all-star days have passed him. But like the Knicks, anything is better than what they have. The Mets need help, and I've been talking about in my Mets updates, the last two, how they have a flawed lineup. They have no true leadoff hitter. They have no table setters. Maybe Jose could do that. He's not the speed demon he once was, but at least he's much better than what they have. I mean, the Mets probably have it's about 10 stolen bases as a team this year. They're atrocious. And anybody could help right now, and they need as much help as they can because the season's going to start slipping away. Like I've mentioned before, they cannot rely on the starting pitching, throwing shutouts or limiting the opposing team to 1 or 2 runs every game to have a chance to win. Next, you guys are talking about the Yanks, the terrible Yanks. They're at 500. The AL's it's pretty weak. Besides Baltimore, Texas, and Boston, who I really see as the contenders. The Yankees, I mean, is this what we're playing? Is this what their hopes are now, just to make the wild card? At this point, they are at the very end of a dynasty. The Yankees went on a 20-year run, beginning in 1993 and to about 2013, making the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year, wild card. That's fool's gold. Making the wild card is a fool's gold. I mean, they not when you really realistically have no chance of winning the pennant, let alone the World Series. But the Yankees are in a tough spot. They have old players, and I mean old. I mean, in the A-Rod's in his 40s. Beltran's going to be 40. Teixeira's up there. And we want to talk about injury plague. Teixeira, that guy gets hurt tying his cleats. But the Yankees right now, I mean, if this wasn't New York, they should be in complete rebuilding mode. I mean, they're not gonna. That's not gonna happen until all these big contracts and former big names expire. You know, the CC Sabathias, the A-Rods. I mean, this is the price you pay to be as a New York Yankee organization. You have to have the big stars. You know, the big stars aren't going to stay young and productive forever. You know, these contracts are backloaded. You know, and now these are the years where you're not going to get the value that you're paying for. I mean, if you keep signing a free agent here and a free agent there, you're just putting the Band-Aid. And who's to say rebuilding, you're going to recapture the glory? I mean, the Yankees, I mean, everybody, I mean, a lot of people in their 20s and 30s, they don't realize how lucky the Yankees were in the 90s. I mean, they had Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Pettit, Posada coming up in the from the minors all at the same time. I mean, Jeter's an all-time player. Mariano's an all-time player. Pettit, maybe he's borderline a Hall of Famer. Posada could be a borderline Hall of Famer. These players coming up in the minor leagues? Probably not. These are good. If you're a Yankee fan, you can look forward to a few lean years. But come on, you can't complain as a Yankee fan. What they did was great. They went on a tremendous all-time run from between 1993 to now. You know, the run in the 90s and making the playoffs every year. It's Yankee fans think it's their birthright to go far in the playoffs. But now you're gonna have to experience the results of the dynasty. So next, now we'll move into the political part of the podcast. There's there's a controversial issue about people saying ISIS is America, and what's the bigger threat, global warming or ISIS? Listen, first of all, everybody's got to stop. You can't believe anything you hear from the media, from the internet. The only way you're going to know how the world works and what the world is you're going to have to do research. And you can do that on the internet. Now, is ISIS America? Well, I don't know what that means. What, are there American troops dressed as ISIS? No. Are they funded by America? Who knows? First of all, what is ISIS? ISIS is an offshoot of Al-Qaeda. The same Al-Qaeda that was blamed, that we heard so much about after 9/11, Osama bin Laden. Why don't you, and I'm not going to give a lecture here or berate anybody, why don't you look at, go to 1979, Jimmy Carter's advisors, and Google this, CIA Operation Cyclone. I posted an article recently. The big name, this is Big News Brzezinski. Look it up, Brzezinski. He's been a major player in world affairs. He's on the level of George Soros and Henry Kissinger. He's the one who created Al-Qaeda back in the late 70s when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. That was during the Cold War between the U.S. and Russia. The Soviets aggressively invaded Afghanistan. What's in Afghanistan? There's dirt and rocks and nothing there, but what's in there? You don't know? The opium fields. 90% of the world's heroin production comes from Afghanistan. Some say that's why we went into Afghanistan after 9/11, to protect the opium fields, because the Taliban, who was ruling at the time, burned all the opium fields, and that caused a lot of problems for many people behind the scenes. If you think I'm a nut, fine, I'm a nut. Google it. There's Google Marines guarding opium fields in Afghanistan. There's a video of a Marine who was embarrassed to be in Afghanistan. They're not fighting Al-Qaeda. They're not fighting the Taliban. Back to CIA's Operation Cyclone. I'll read it. Unknown to the American public and Congress, President Jimmy Carter secretly authorized $500 million to create an international terrorist movement that would spread Islamic fundamentalism in Central Asia and destabilize the Soviet Union. The CIA called this Operation Cyclone, and in the following years poured $4 billion into setting up Islamic training schools in Pakistan. Taliban mean students. Young zealots were sent to the CIA spy training camp in Virginia, where future members of Al Qaeda were taught sabotage skills, terrorism. You want to know another thing? If you don't know, Google New York Times article: Osama bin Laden, warrior marches on the way to peace, and that during that war with the Soviets in Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden, he was a big CIA asset and operative, recruiting and training people to fight for Al Qaeda. Ken, if you don't believe me, you think I'm a nut, Google it. I'm not going to sit here. If anybody is even bothering to bother to watch this, I'm not going to waste my energy. I'm not going to geek out and yell and scream and go on a rant. Whatever. So what happened? We heard after 9/11, Al Qaeda, the boogeyman. There's a terrorist under your bed. Look out. See, that's what the media does. It's propaganda. There's always fear. It's to scare the public. From the 50s, 1950s, all the way to 2000, the mid 1990s, there was always the threat of nuclear war. With the Cold War between the United States and Russia, there was always a threat of a nuclear strike. That was the big thing. Imagine the threat of being a nuclear holocaust that could happen at any time in your city, especially New York City. They would tell you there's over thousands of nuclear warheads aimed at New York City. Anyway, back to the point. What is ISIS? And is America funding them? This is another thing. People don't ask questions today. When we see images of ISIS all throughout the news, what do you see them driving? Toyotas, brand new Toyotas. Who's giving them weapons? Where are they buying the weapons from? Where are they buying the cars from? Where are they buying food from? Who's paying these guys? You think these guys are just there? No, these are paid mercenaries. They're paid fighters. They get guys from villages, ask them if they want a job. They train them, and then they fight. Okay? Who's giving them the money? If you think I'm a nut, I'm going to say that every other sentence. Google Senator John McCain. Yes, Senator John McCain, U.S. Senator John McCain. Google Senator John McCain. I meet with ISIS daily. There's a video with him. He admits it. There's pictures of him meeting with ISIS leaders. But I'll make a wrestling reference. In his opinion, they're not good guys. They're not bad guys. They're just fighters who have to take down Assad, the Syrian president, because he's so evil. What's so special about Syria? Is he the only dictator that mistreats his people? What about all these news stories of in Africa, where hundreds of thousands of millions are getting slaughtered by warlords? Why don't we go in there? Well, at least not yet. But what's in Syria? Why is it so important? For security, that's what they'll say, for security. We have no business being there. Google 2012, Marines covering their faces with signs saying we will not be Al Qaeda's Air Force in Syria. There was a big story about that, how the top generals and Joint Chiefs of Staffs told Obama that the military was not going to follow the orders in 2012, and they didn't. They were hell bent on trying to go into Syria. So this threat with ISIS, what is ISIS? Listen, if you don't believe if you think this is just a good versus bad, evil, good versus evil thing, how we're good and they're evil, listen, you better start waking up. You better start doing research about how the world works. If you don't think that your government, the United States government, can be evil, I don't mean the people in the White House are evil. I mean elements in the government, the CIA, the NSA, elements in there, people who aren't on the payroll, but are not on paper. They're not going to have ties to these people. Who some of these operatives are so dark and so undercover. They have 3, 4, 5 aliases. They're unknown. They don't exist. Who are paid to carry out things? Again, Google, send it to John McCain. I meet with ISIS. See what comes up. $500 million to train fighters in Syria. Who are those fighters? ISIS. And there's another thing the media does. They'll always to confuse you because they think you're stupid, and a lot of us are stupid and can't pay 5 minutes attention. We're distracted with trades, basketball trades and football trades, and people know the offensive playbook of the Patriots by heart, but nothing in the real world. And if when something hits you in the face, you're like, no, that guy, you're crazy. It's not. You're wrong. The information is what you do with it. Okay. So yeah. So it went from Al Qaeda to ISIS to ISIL, and these are keywords: radical Islam, extremist. Listen, nothing happens without it being planned. Okay. Just again, I don't want to go off on a long tangent here. Who pays these guys? Who organizes these guys? Where did these people get their orders from? Who is buying their food? Who is selling them food? Who is selling them weapons? Oh, Frank, don't you know they control the oil fields and they're funding themselves with oil? Okay, who's buying oil off of them? What do you think? People are going up to buy 10 gallons of oil off of them? Ask yourself these critical questions, okay? Where does the money trail lead? Which countries aren't getting attacked? Okay? Oh, Frank, America's getting attacked. Yeah, okay. America is so big, and it's always these isolated incidents. It's always one guy or two guys doing these things, and there's no proof, no truth to who and what they are and what they stand for. It's what you're being told. Do you believe it? It's up to you. Do research. And now the other thing is global warming. Another thing. See, this first, when I was a kid, it was pollution. The big threat to the world was pollution. How we're polluting the environment. There's too much garbage. The future looks bleak because there's going to be so much garbage that we're going to be stepping in garbage. We can't do anything about it. We have a garbage problem. This is what we were being told in school. And then Al Gore started his propaganda with global warming. Again, you don't believe me, I'm a nut. Google Al Gore, global warming. This guy, he's a major shareholder and executive of a company that has to do with global warming, and I'll get into it in a minute. Al Gore predicted in 2012 the ice caps would melt and we'd be underwater if we didn't change our way of living. The propaganda machine will tell you it's your fault, because your air conditioning is on right now. It's your fault because you drive to work. It's your fault because you eat beef. The cow farts are polluting, are leaving a carbon footprint. Google it. Cow farts, cow methane. It's your fault because you eat burgers on the weekends. And after 2012 came, and Al Gore had mud in his face, now they conveniently changed it to climate change. What's climate change? the climate has been changing forever. And oh, wait a minute. If you don't believe in global warming or climate change, you're evil. You're a piece of shit. I didn't know that it was a religion. I have to believe in it. And here's what most of the public doesn't understand. Again, you have to ask questions. Okay, global warming, climate change, whatever you want to call it. What is it? What is this based on? What's the scientific data based on? Oh, my math professor, who has several PhDs, kindly explained it to me because I asked a question. And he told me, Frank, it's a computer program based on, it's an algorithm. And what they do is they enter all the weather data they have available from the last 100 years. They plug all this information into the computer. And then the computer predicts 20 years, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ahead of how the climate will be. The computer program predicts a 1 degree change in the next 30 to 40 years and maybe 2 degree increase Celsius in the next 70. Okay, that's prediction. Okay. Now, is that fact? Are you going to stamp it? Is that the meteorologists that they show on the news every night can't even predict what the weather's going to be next week, right? In the wintertime, they can't predict what the weather's going to be on the weekend. But yet we're supposed to believe that a computer program can predict 20, 30, 40, 60 years. Oh, but Frank, they're putting in all the information for the last 100 years. Ask yourself, how was this weather data collected? Is the weather data from 1940 reliable? From Peaksville, New York? Do you know how they collect weather data? You or I could collect weather data. All you have to do is sign up, and you could be designated as a weather collector. You go out once or twice a day with a thermometer, and you record the temperature. Is that valid? Is that reliable from all these years, all these people? When the snow falls, people go out and stick rulers to the ground and phone in or text the inches. Okay, so the data is not reliable and it's not valid. I'd say 70%, 60%. Satellites weren't launched until the late 50s. Okay. And now we get this crap. At least I do. Every day I get a story on my news feed. This pole is melting, and this pole, the ice is melting, and they tug at your heart. They'll show you a polar bear on an iceberg. Oh, the polar bears are dying. Oh my God. So to end this, there is no. I don't think anything is a threat. What's a real threat? Pull up this article, Wall Street Journal, from June 22nd. You want to know what a threat is? Basically, Social Security, Medicare is bankrupt. It'll be bankrupt in the next 15, 20 years. Oh, what? Your money's stolen. They're taking your money. Do you earn a paycheck every week? Are you even looking? You pay every week money into your Social Security. That's your money. That's supposed to be there for you when you retire. You know what happens to that Social Security money? The people on Wall Street play with it. They invest it without your permission. I'll read it. Medicare and Social Security will begin to spend more than they earn by the end of this decade. New projections showed Wednesday, putting a spotlight on issues that has seen scant discussion in election year. The annual report card from the program's trustees said Medicare's Hospital Insurance Trust Fund, which provides coverage to more than 55 million Americans, that's you, will exhaust its reserves by 2028. That means it's bankrupt. That means when you're ready to take that money, they're going to say, oops, sorry, climate change, ISIS. 2 years sooner than estimated last year. Medicare's trust fund is projected to face depletion earlier than was forecast last year due to slight revisions in projected incomes and costs, though failing healthcare costs for recent years have provided a greater breathing room. Oh, that's great. Social Security faces depletion by 2034, which could trigger a 21% across-the-board benefit cut if Congress is enacted. More than 49 million Americans collected retirement benefits through the program last year. Nearly 11 million received payments from a separate disability insurance. So that's great. So what do you think is going to happen when doomsday hits? When people start expecting their money, their Social Security benefits, their Medicare benefits, and they're going to tell you, oops, sorry. Maybe they'll call you a racist. They'll say you're just a racist. Or maybe they'll say you're a climate denier. That's why this happened. Maybe that's why there's this push to change the Second Amendment. Maybe that's why there's going to be a lot of angry people out there. Anyway, that's it. I'm done because probably nobody's watching this, and I'm talking to deaf ears. If you're watching this and you think I'm a kook, fine. The joke's on you. The joke's on me also. I'm out.